and welcome back to the channel. We are looking at 5 cases of unsolved murders by serial killers that are either real or some made up story. Number 5. The Smiley Face Killer. It is said that a killer who hunts white college men around the country and kills them by drowning them in large bodies of water close to dorms or universities is real by the public. However, the FBI says otherwise. The FBI says there is no evidence that a single killer kills these men or that he drowns them in water. The FBI says it's all an urban myth and it's been circulating since the late 80s. However, the theory originated with 2 New York City police detectives, Kevin Gannon and Anthony Doherty. They concluded that the deaths of at least 45 young men by drowning have way too many similarities to be unrelated or just a coincidence. Although the theory began in connection with bodies found in New York City, it spread to include murder cases from the Midwest, and in at least a dozen cases, a painted smiley face was found near the body, and always by a number of bodies of water. However, most people assume that the smiley face is just graffiti, as a smiley face is pretty common graffiti around any city. But a few criminologists agree with the detectives that there are too many similarities in the deaths to put it down as pure coincidence, and there have been frequent requests by the authorities to the FBI to pick up the investigation, including one in 2008 from a Wisconsin congressman. It's a rare case where some law enforcement say it is real and other law enforcement denies it. But one thing for sure, 45 bodies killed in the same way is either too much of a coincidence or it really is a serial killer. Either way, it makes for a good story. Number 4. Yogurt Shop Murders. In the early 1990s, Austin, Texas was shell-shocked by a tragic, vicious crime. Late on December 6, 1991, firefighters responded to reports of smoke rising from the I Can't Believe It's Yogurt shop on West Anderson Lane. Once inside, the responders found a scene of unimaginable horror. Amidst the inferno were the brutalized bodies of 4 teenage girls: Amy Ayers, Jennifer Harbison, Sarah Harbison, and Eliza Thomas. At least one of the girls had been raped. 3 were stacked atop each other like cordwood, and all had been bound with their own clothing before being shot in the head with a 22 caliber handgun. It was a murder that could appall even the most seasoned and hardened homicide detective. Immediately, the public placed pressure on authorities to catch whoever was responsible. 4 suspects, all teenagers themselves at the time, were charged with the crime 8 years later. Forrest Wellborn, Maurice Pierce, Robert Springsteen, and Michael Scott. However, the grand jury, citing a lack of evidence, declined to indict Wellborn. The charges against Pierce were later dropped. Over 50 people confessed to the crime, and all 50 were later determined to be liars. 8 people overall were charged with the murder, and all 8 were later let go. However, 2 witnesses say they saw a man enter about 30 minutes before the shop caught fire, and the description of the man matched that of a man they were looking for in connection with other murders. Rumor is he is wanted in connection with other murders in the state and other states as well. Number 3. The Dardenne Family Murders. The Dardenne family met a truly disturbing end in their small town of Ina, Illinois in 1987. More than a decade later, a serial killer sitting on death row in Texas would claim that he committed the crimes, along with more than 70 other slayings. Yet the truth of the Dardennes' final moments remains as certain today as it did on that evening in November 18th, 1987, when police first discovered their brutalized bodies. The mother was beaten with a bat and forced her to go into labor. She gave birth to a live daughter, and the killer beat the newborn to death with the bat, then killed the mother, and then set his sights on their 3-year-old son, which was brutally beaten with the bat as well. At first, there was no sign of Mr. Dardenne until the next day when they found his body not far, shot to death by 4 bullets and castrated. There had been 15 other homicides in the area in a 5-year period, but they were never able to link them together as all the killings were random or did not match the Dardenne family killings. They had leads over the years and even took a few people into custody for the other murders, but was never able to pin the Dardenne family murders to anyone until 1999 when a serial killer took credit for the killings. A serial killer named Tommy Lynn Sells, who had been arrested after cutting the throats of two girls near Del Rio, Texas, began confessing to other murders that he claimed he committed over the years while riding the rails and working at a traveling carnival. One of the killings that Sells claimed responsibility for was the murder of the Dardenne family. Though Sells confessed to more than 70 murders at the time of his execution, authorities were only convinced and able to prove his guilt in 22 of his supposed killings. The brutal slaying of the Dardenne family wasn't one of them, however, and to this day, the chilling Illinois murder case officially is still open and remains unsolved. Number 2. Allenstown. In 1985, a hunter in Bear Brook State Park in New Hampshire found the bodies of a woman and a young girl wrapped in plastic inside a 55-gallon metal drum. 15 years later, the bodies of three more young girls were found nearby, also in a 55-gallon metal drum. DNA showed the woman was related to at least two of the girls. And in 2017, DNA also revealed a likely suspect, Terry Petter Rasmussen. Also, he went by Robert Evans Rasmussen. He died in prison in 2010 while serving time on another murderer. DNA showed he was the father of one of the four girls found in the state park. The four young girls have not been fully identified, and the location of Rasmussen's previous girlfriend, Denise Bowden, and her 6-month-old daughter also remains a mystery. Three other women were discovered from 1989 to 2003 in the area killed. They suspect Rasmussen as the killer of all 11 victims of Allenstown, along with 5 other murders, 2 of which he was convicted of. They also suspect him in killings in surrounding states, but have been unable to find any useful DNA that would 100% say he was the killer. He never admitted to any of his killings, and even with all the evidence against him, he kept his innocent stance on all the killings. In jail, they asked him about 33 murders in total, and if he was involved. And if he was involved with that many killings, he would rank up there with the likes of Bundy or Gacy. Number 1. The Phantom Killer and the Texarkana Murderers. Texarkana is a small town that straddles the state line between Texas and Arkansas. It is also known as the town that dreaded sundown, thanks to the 1976 horror flick of the same name. Set in Texarkana and based loosely on a string of local slayings, the proto-slasher film came out 2 years before the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Black Christmas, and 2 years before Halloween. A lot of the slasher movies around the time said they got a lot of inspiration from the movie, and it is said to be the start of the slasher movie genre as a killer that wears a mask and kills so many people. While the movie Psycho by Hitchcock is known as the first slasher movie, however, Bates didn't wear a mask, nor did he kill in a frenzy, like Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees. The mysterious Moonlight Murders rocked the sleepy southern town of Texarkana in 1946. Police on either side of the state line struggled to work as one, while the killings themselves possessed the iconic quality of an urban legend. Young couples parked at the end of a lonely road and then was savagely shot at sundown. In fact, some claim that the infamous campfire tale lovers who catch a report of a hook-handed killer on the car radio only discover a bloody hook hanging from the back door of their car can be traced to the Texarkana Moonlight Murders. Authorities believe he killed 5 people in 10 weeks. 3 others, including his first 2 victims, survived their attacks. The first attack took place on February 22nd, 1946, on a secluded road outside of town. The Phantom approached Jimmy Hollis and Mary Jean Larry, a young couple parked in their car. He blinded them with his flashlight upon approaching them. then held them at gunpoint and ordered them to get into the vehicle, strip down, and then get out of the vehicle. The Phantom then told Jimmy Hollis to remove his pants, proceeded to beat him severely, fracturing his skull. Since 1946, there have been claims that he was spotted or was to blame for kidnapping and murder in and around the area. However, no evidence can link him to any of it. The Phantom Killer, some also say, is known as the Zodiac Killer, since him and the Zodiac Killer is exactly the same, and his murders over the years were exactly the same. Not to mention, Zodiac would have been about the right age in California that the composite sketch shown on live TV would have been around the same age, and both composites from both killers looked similar. You combine that with the fact they both wore a mask, and not many serial killers do wear masks, it makes it kind of even more believable. Who knows if both the Phantom Killer and Zodiac Killer are the same person, but a lot of evidence points that it is a possibility. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe for more cold case videos.